Real People, Real Success, where we dive into real-life impacts of medical transformations from the physical to emotional, everything in between. I'm your host, Veronica Bemba, and today we're exploring a topic that's often whispered about but rarely addressed head-on: the link between bariatric surgery and divorce. So, Dr. Khan, what is bariatric surgery?
Well, as a disclaimer, I'm happily married.
How many years?
24.
24 years. Okay.
And to answer your question what bariatric surgery is, so by training, I'm a bariatric surgeon. Bariatric surgery is essentially weight loss surgery. There are different kinds of bariatric surgery that we offer. The most commonly done bariatric surgery across the globe right now is gastric sleeve. The second most commonly done surgery, which is, now there are lots of surgeries that are off-label and some of the surgeries that are approved by the American Society of Bariatric Surgery. The second surgery most commonly done is what's called the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. A variation of that is what's called one anastomosis gastric bypass, or a mini bypass, which is popular in parts of the world, in Europe, in Southeast Asia, and is picking up some pace in the United States. Now, there are also options which are minimally invasive, such as an endoscopic gastric surgery or a gastric balloon. These are temporary surgeries which are reversible, revisable. So lots of options are available when it comes to bariatric surgery.
Okay. And Ms. Julie, thank you for joining us. Why do you think most people get bariatric surgery?
I feel like when patients decide to do a bariatric surgery, they have tried weight loss methods beforehand, and I feel like the patient, when they actually do decide to do a bariatric surgery, it's because they have tried all these methods and have had minimal results and just need an extra tool to reach their goal weight and specifically have a healthier lifestyle.
Agree. And PA Anik Malik, once patients have the bariatric surgery, what major lifestyle changes are required?
Couple of factors. The surgery itself is effective, but you have to implement, your diet has to be good. You start off with a liquid diet for the first week, slowly transition to a full liquid diet, and then soft puree and all the way to a full diet overall. So your diet is very important, your lifestyle, active lifestyle is very important, exercising. You start off initially, walking, and then slowly incorporate like lightweight lifting. We've encouraged waiting about 6 to 8 weeks after your surgery to allow a healing process, and then slowly just incorporate more as far as whatever you prefer, either with Zumba, outdoor activities, or anything that you prefer as far as staying active. And water intake is very important. A lot of times patients don't realize how important water is. We encourage at least 64 ounces daily, and that should be the requirement. Obviously, after the procedure, it does take some time for you to build up to the 64 ounces, but we encourage slowly improving your water intake over the course of your weight loss journey.
Awesome. Recent stats that I've seen that there's higher rates of divorce and separation post-op, and there's also higher rates of new relationships for singles after bariatric surgery. So the topic at hand today is the divorce rate after surgery versus the general population. So Dr. Khan, why do you believe that there's a high level of divorce after bariatric surgery?
I know personally of 2 people who did get divorced after bariatric surgery. Personally, the 2 of my patients who got divorced. I think it has to do with people being in a relationship which was negative, and they stick through it, and once they have weight loss surgery, they get their confidence back and they want to break out of that negative relationship. So that's my personal thought behind the divorce. It's not a very high rate of divorce that happens after bariatric surgery. It does happen, to tell you honestly, I think it may be the negative relationship people have been in. Once they have surgery, they get their confidence back, they feel good about themselves, and break out of that negative relationship.
Ms. Julie, anything you'd like to add?
I really But what my first thought comes to is that maybe while in the relationship there was like unhealthy eating habits, and once a patient goes through a bariatric surgery and there's a change of lifestyle and eating habits, maybe the patient did not receive the same support or encouragement from their partner. And after bariatric surgery, we have seen with a lot of our patients that they become more confident and they're really committed to the change. So maybe their partners weren't as supportive. That could be a cause of divorce. That's what my thinking is.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'm gonna play like devil's advocate.
Yeah.
When you lose weight loss, you look good, you look better, you have more options, you know? You're like, hey, I can do better, so like, you know, so that might be an option too, you know, for people after a bariatric surgery. They might want to explore other options or alternative individuals.
So we think it's safe to say that if two partners, if they're obese in a relationship, should they both be headed for bariatric surgery? Should they both get bariatric surgery? Or what's your thoughts on that?
I usually get the spouse involved because it's not an individual decision. Because most spouses go grocery shopping together. If you fill up my pantry with Oreos and tell my spouse not to eat Oreos, it's not fair to the spouse, right? Or chips or whatever snacks people get. So the spousal involvement is very important. If they both undergo surgery or not, that's a separate issue. That's between them. But generally, if one person does well, the other gets motivated to at least eat healthier eating habits, and if they can be successful with dietary modification, great. If not, they lean towards surgery because they know it's safe and effective.
It is, no, absolutely. It's a team effort. You know, it takes a village. So Dr. Kwan is absolutely right. Like, if a patient is trying to make an effort, I think the spouse definitely has to be supportive on board. And then sometimes they might need the surgery for just their health overall too. Underlying conditions can be there: diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and a bariatric procedure can definitely help, you know, eliminate those.
I agree with everything. Yes, so like we all mentioned, this great support system, communication, and how about setting boundaries in relationships going into bariatric surgery? What does that look like?
It depends. I mean, that's something you have to communicate with your spouse. I mean, food is definitely, you know, boundaries. You know, as far as what the food intake is, grocery shopping. That's something you have to communicate with your significant other on what boundaries to set. You know, and for each household, it might be a little bit different. You know, it could be incorporating a healthier lifestyle and setting boundaries. Hey, let's go walking for 3 days a week. You know, or let's go do some kind of physical activity, or hey, let's cook together, you know, let's make a healthy meal. So it all just depends, and that's something you communicate, and I think that's a big, important part of the post-op recovery process. Communication and setting healthy boundaries, not limitations, but healthy boundaries.